Let's go ahead and learn how to create a car or a vehicle. Come over here to your toolbox to rectangle tool. Click, hold, release your mouse and pick up your rounded rectangle tool. Let's come up here to the fill and give it a green fill, maybe this one. And let's come over here to the stroke and give it a non-stroke. Come back to your workspace. Click and drag out a rounded rectangle, kind of like this. Now, again, I still have my rounded rectangle tool selected, so from this point over here, I'm going to click and drag out my wheel, basically, of my vehicle. About this much. Let's go ahead and pick up our selection tool. Come back here to this wheel, click, hold shift key and move it up just a little bit, about this much, in a straight line. Release mouse, then shift key. Go ahead and deselect. Now, let's come back to our toolbox and to our rounded rectangle tool. Click, hold, release mouse, pick up ellipse tool, and let's go ahead and change the color to something that will be visible on the green, maybe yellow. A different color, basically. Come back here and line yourself up with the center of your wheel. Go ahead, click, hold down shift and alt key, and create a circle from the center of this point about this much. Release mouse, then keyboard. Pick up your selection tool, hover over your wheel to make sure that this headlight or circle is not overlapping on this wheel. Go ahead and deselect. Now with your selection tool, click, drag to select all these objects. And then go ahead and right click, all the way down to transform, select the command reflect. Make the axis vertical and then click copy. As you can see, the copy went at the exact location that I want it to be on the other side, so no need to move it with our selection tool. Now, let's go ahead and deselect. Now, as we made this copy, we made an extra copy of the body right here that we don't need. So, we do need the wheel and the headlight, but we're going to get rid of this one. So with your selection tool, select it, and then press delete on your keyboard. Now go ahead and select this first headlight with your selection tool, and then hold down your shift key and select the second headlight. Release shift key. Now right click and select the command make compound path. Go ahead and deselect. Now with your selection tool, go ahead, click, drag to select these circles and this body without selecting the wheels. Come up here to Window, all the way down to Pathfinder, and select the command -front. Now again, as you can see, let's go ahead and hold down our shift key while having, of course, this body selected that we just made spaces in the shape of lights. Hold down shift key and select with it this wheel and this wheel, then release your shift key. Come back to the Pathfinder and select the command unite. Close your Pathfinder, and as you can see, we have created the first portion of our vehicle or automobile. From a front view, you can see wheels, body, and headlights. Let's go ahead and finish up our vehicle. Come over here to your toolbox to your ellipse tool. Click, hold, and release your mouse. Pick up your polygon tool, come back to your workspace and click once to create a triangle. We're going to give this polygon, of course, 3 sides for a triangle. Click OK. Go ahead, pick up your selection tool and deselect. Now let's come over here to the toolbox to the polygon tool. Click, hold, release mouse, pick up rectangle tool, and then let's come up here and give it a different fill color, maybe yellow. Come back to your workspace, line yourself up with the center of your triangle, click, hold your Alt key, and create from the center this rectangle right there. Release mouse, then Alt key. Go ahead and pick up your selection tool, click, hold down Shift key, and move it up about this much. Release your mouse, then Shift key. If you hover over your triangle, you can see that the upper edge of your triangle is not overlapping over the upper edge of this rectangle, which is what we want. And let's come down here, of course, while having our rectangle selected. Click and just resize it down here about this much. Release your mouse. Deselect. You can see that my yellow rectangle is on top, is covering my green triangle, and this is what I want. I want my rectangle to be covering about half or a little bit more of my triangle. Now with my selection tool, click, drag to select both these objects. I'm going to go up to Window, all the way down to Pathfinder, and select the command -front. Close your Pathfinder for now. Let's come over here with our selection tool to this edge. Click, hold Shift key, and resize it about this much. Release mouse, then Shift key. Now we need to make sure this object is lined up with the center of this object. So with your selection tool, click and just line it up with the center right there. Release mouse, and then again click and hold down Shift key. Move it down in a straight line. Make sure it is not overlapping on the headlights. Release mouse, then Shift key, and go ahead and deselect. Now let's come over here and pick up our direct selection tool. Come over here to this corner and select this anchor by clicking once, and then hold down Shift key and select this anchor by clicking again, then release your Shift key. Come to either one of these circles, click and drag in to give this object rounded upper corners right there. Release mouse and go ahead and deselect. Now come back and pick up your selection tool. Go ahead, click, hold down Shift and Alt key, and move up to create a copy right there. Release mouse, then keyboard. Leave that copy here for now. Now, with your selection tool, go ahead and deselect. Then click, drag to select these objects down here, all the way up to Window, down to Pathfinder, and select the command Unite. Now, let's come back to this object over here. Click, hold down Shift key, and drag it down here, right there in that location. Release mouse, then Shift key. And then let's come over here to this edge. Click, hold down Shift and Alt key, and make it smaller about this much to create the windshield, basically. Right there. Release mouse, then keyboard. Go ahead and deselect. Now, as you can see, if I select this object here and I change its color, I can see it, which means it is at the front, which is what I want. Go ahead and deselect. Now click, drag to select all these objects. Come up here to your Pathfinder, select the command -front. Go ahead and close your Pathfinder, and you have finished your vehicle very nicely from a front view. And this is now one object. If you try to change the color, it is one object. You can change it as one object.